Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about, have your fucking clout. It be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, bitch I'm legend bound, can't stop me now. You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. 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 It's showtime.
Welcome to Friday Night Lights. I am Tommy, and this is brought to you by the Mafia Sports Report. And guys, I don't know if you see this, but our boy Josh Allen made the cover of Madden 24. Awful game, but nonetheless, I am super excited to have this guy, our guy, on the cover. By the way, first Buffalo Bills player ever to get on the cover of Madden. So pretty cool. Tonight, obviously, you guys know Mikey is not joining me, but I do have a special guest. And that is Dr. Kyle Trimble from Banged Up Bills. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing very good, Tommy. Thanks for having me on tonight.
Nah, man, I appreciate you, man. So let's dive right into this. First of all, what's your thoughts on our boy back here, Josh Allen, getting on Madden 24, man?
You know, playing Madden growing up, I would never thought that, you know, the Bills players were on the cover. I mean, it was always somebody else. There was always some other superstar. I think the closest we probably would have gotten was when Peyton Hillis with the Browns, because that was a fan vote, if I recall correctly. But to see somebody who transcends just being on the team as being one of the best players on there to being one of the best players in the NFL and on cover of Madden, like I haven't played Madden in a while. I'm gonna have to go out and buy a copy of that just because my son's getting in the Buffalo Bills and he's going to want to see, he knows what Josh Allen is. He's going to want to play it, even though he has no idea how to play it. But Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills, let's go.
Let's do it, man. Yeah, man. And also, just to throw this out there, first time ever on the cover that they actually had fans on the cover. So that was, I believe, a Bills backers bar in California that they got some of the fans there to do a photo shoot with Josh Allen to do the cover. So pretty cool, man. Pretty good. Man, those lucky fans, man. You couldn't do it here in Detroit? Man, I want to be
or even Buffalo here, you know?
Yeah, even Buffalo for you guys. Dr. Kyle Trimble back there. Oh, good Lord, man. So for all those that don't know who you are, which they should by now, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, man, and where they can find you, all that good stuff, and what you do.
Physical therapy. I've been practicing as a PT for the past 10 years, seeing a variety of different settings.
There you go. All right, you broke up for it. Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So practicing in a variety of different settings. Since 2017, I've been writing about sports injuries, running my own site, bangedupbills.com. I've been anywhere and everywhere. Locked On Bills, Cover One, Buffalo Rumblings, Dynasty League Fantasy, the Game Day. I've been pretty much everywhere that you can find injury content. So, you know, I like to really talk about the injuries, talk about the Buffalo Bills, AFC East as a whole. It's been a really cool experience just to discuss everything, and, you know, we'll talk about everything we got going on with Buffalo Bills and much more.
Yeah, man. I gotta say, you are my go-to guy on Twitter, man. I'm like, we sign a free agent, boom, Kyle Trimble there to tell you about it. I'm like, damn it, man, 6 injuries. You know, like, it's either good news or bad news when it comes to free agents. When it comes to you reporting, you're like, hey guys, gotta tell you the bad news. Guy had 10 injuries. It's like, oh no, don't tell me that.
I mean, that's how it goes with that, but you gotta know whether there's a risk to signing certain guys there. You know, that we even with, you know, we were talking about DeAndre Hopkins or Odell Beckham or, you know, whoever else comes up. You know, the flavor of the month. There's always, hey, this seems like a great idea. You're, you know, sign the guy for what he could be, but here's what he's been dealing with. Is this worth, you know, risking? And in years past, we've signed guys to big deals who never panned up because they couldn't stay healthy. You know, your Charles
Right.
Clay and whatnot. But now it's like, hey, this is going on. This can be a risk. And sometimes if they don't pan out, well, this is why. Or if they do pan out, despite
Right.
the injuries, signing it, it just there's more context than just what the product on the field is.
Right. By the way, Jason's mentioning the air quality up in the D, Detroit. Yeah, I guess Canada's having pretty bad fires over there, so it's getting like pushed all over. I know New York had it bad; they canceled some games. I don't really notice anything. I'll be honest with you. I was out and about today, but seems okay to me, but who knows? I don't know. I'm a homebody, so I mean, I was out a little bit for the most part, Jason. I stay home, man. So I don't know. My AC is working fine. I got no smoke coming in here. But yeah, man, I feel bad for the people in Canada going through that. My co-host did want it, so we're gonna go ahead and jump with the players from last year that are coming to this year. So we're gonna start with Vaughn first because my co-host wanted to ask you a question because he can't be here. So Mikey wanted to know what the difference in rehab for a partial tear compared to a full tear for Von Miller. Like how what's expected there?
There's actually no difference
Timetable, all that.
because
No
yeah,
difference.
there's actually no difference because the partial tear, when you go in there and have to reconstruct the ligament, you have to basically tear out everything, or at least there's no putting together the ligament back at this point. Now, some literature showing out there that they can start trying to repair the ligament, but that hasn't come into what's considered the gold standard yet. And I know when they came out with that partial tear and that he was getting a repair, the wording on that changed to where they said it was a full reconstruction. So I know that partial tear, that's great, but I think even if it was a partial tear, look to see whether they could rehab it, maybe get him through the rest of the season, then do surgery. Maybe that was the game plan because we saw that delay from when he originally tore on Thanksgiving to 2 weeks later when they underwent exploratory surgery and they found it. They might have said, "Hey, MRI shows a partial tear. Maybe you can get through the season, remainder of the season at least." And then they maybe got in and said, "Hey, this thing's too unstable. We can't even try to move forward with it." End the
Right.
season then. So to answer the question simply, there's no difference. It's just you have to go through the same process, whether it's a partial tear or full tear.
Okay. Okay. What's your thoughts on him saying he's going to be back week one? I mean, me personally, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to probably be on the pup list. But what do you think? I know every player is different, but just your thoughts of that quick return.
He's the eternal optimist. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I love it.
Yeah.
It's great, but he's 33 years old. He's done this before. It just he has a lot going on with regards to the rehab, just everything else like that. And like he did do this 10 years ago in terms of coming back in under 9 months, but I don't know. Are you doing things 10 years ago that you're doing, that you're doing now and vice versa there? So
Right.
that's kind of where it comes down to. I if he's a guy that if you could do it, he would do it, but I just don't know whether the team's going to say, "Hey, let's have you do this here." I think it's going to come down to, "Hey, let's look at a roster management standpoint. Let's let you kind of get back up to full. We don't need you the early part of the season." He's competitive. He wants to go out there and play, but I got into trouble with this last year with Travis White. Him being younger, him wanting to get back out there, talking about how hard he's fighting. And of course, we saw with the mental aspects with that, and then the
Right.
demands of this position. He had taken a full year to get back.
It
When it
still
looks
wasn't
at
right.
yeah, exactly. And that we knew that was going to be whether he came back in week 1, week 2, or week 12, week 13, like we saw him do,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of when he came back, he was going to look like that. It just come back sooner because he was younger. Bill's training staff has been, known for great rehab and whatnot. But
Right.
I know Vaughn's been doing some rehab with the training staff. He's been going elsewhere. Seen him all over, Instagram, training all over the place. He was in Denver the other week. He was down in Houston. Um, you know, he's the kind of older player that could come back week 1, but then you worry about, is he going to get calf strain? Is he going to get hamstring? Is he going to get groin? Is he going to be, having issues with his knee that's going to maybe set him out for a little bit, or compensation issues there? So um, he could be the exception to the rule, very much so, but sit him on the bench, let him rest for a little bit. I mean, he's 34. I mean, I'm the same age as him, and I know that I'm not playing NFL football, but I'm not doing
Right.
things I was 10 years ago. So,
Right.
I'm not moving as fast as I used to.
Right. I agree with Jason. I think they're going to put him on a pup list, in my opinion. I think it's the right thing to do. I think that's why they got Leonard Floyd too. I really do. I think he's regardless, even when Miller gets back, I think Floyd's going to be a great like rotational guy, or they're going to even have him in together at the same time, depending on the game plan. But no, I really believe that was a move that Bean probably wanted to get done because I don't think I think he understands the reality of it. And I just like last year, a lot of Bills Mafia was thinking Trey's going to be back week 1. I kept telling everybody I highly doubt it. Like mentally, physically, it takes them a while to get back on track. And then he had no practice. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, so I just kind of felt that way. And then it's the mental side of things. And you kind of saw it in Trey just even when he came back, like his press conferences, he was hard on himself because he knew he wasn't ready. Like he wasn't fully there yet.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt like he was down on himself and probably didn't help his play either. You know what I mean? So I think now Trey coming into this upcoming season, what's your thoughts on Trey now that, now he's had a total good off season now? He didn't really play a lot of games last year. You know what I mean? What's your thoughts now, him coming back this coming season? You think should be 100% coming into this season? The ACL put it, behind him basically?
Physically, yes. Mentally, he's probably still working his way back, and not even from the issues we saw late last year. Because like they said, this is his first major injury he's ever dealt with, and when you're looking at rehab standpoints, I'm looking always from a physical standpoint. Yes, when you're dealing with the particular person, you are able to, but when you're looking outside in, you're thinking, okay, well, he's hitting a certain benchmarks, he's doing this and that, he's gonna be good to go. But you're not dealing with the struggle mentally that you're seeing these people go through, and there's still people at the end of the day. So that's where I think a lot of people forget. Well, oh wait, 9 months mark, you have back in play, and I drank a little bit of Kool-Aid too because I was enamored by some of the stuff I was seeing out there. But
Right.
I know during OTAs this summer, he's been looking a lot smoother. Sal Capaccio has done some great work in capturing different video. He's noted how much smoother Trey looks, and he had posted a clip. I can't remember who he was covering, but he just stepped, step for step with whoever he's covering the entire way through. There wasn't any compensation. And if you go back and look at the film last year, he was having to take a little extra step when he was having to turn around, flip it. He was a little slow to react if he was coming over, the middle of the field. There was just little things you saw on film. And
Right.
Eric Turner of Cover One, I was talking with him about this. He was, fanatical about the film, and so he's like, "Hey, what's this look like?" And we talk back and forth there, but you could just see little things on film that's like, okay, he's still not back, but those are the kind of things we were expecting to see post surgery there. Coming off these neuromuscular. Like if you're walking around in the dark, you quite don't know your surroundings. You're more likely to bump into something or trip over stuff. But
Yeah.
if you're more aware of what's going on around you, you can just move through confidently there. So now that we're seeing him get farther and farther away from the surgery, come back and get just full off season under him, he should be back to the Tre'Davious White of old. Whether that's an all pro level, that remains to be seen. But he still should be
Right.
getting back up to what he was, closer to prior to the injury.
That's good, man. Yeah, he's still our number 1 corner right
Yes.
now. We're hoping, Elam can get eventually to that level and take over when Trey eventually, leaves or, retires, whatever he winds up doing. But for now, though, he is our guy. And without Trey, you kind of saw last year, and it was a little rocky there at times with the corners. I thought Benford did really well too, but once again, he's a rookie. He's trying to find his way, and then of course they had injuries, right? Benford went down early, then Kyer Elam, and then we're fishing for corners, and then Dane Jackson had his issues. So we need Trey healthy. We need Trey back. And somebody did make a comment in here about Jordan Phillips as well. Now, I know Jordan Phillips had the shoulder. He actually was banged up a lot last year.
He was.
So he had the hamstring, then he had the shoulder injury. So what's up with Jordan Phillips, man? What can we expect?
He's been dealing with the injury bug the past few. He was real healthy when he left the Bills. He got that big free agent contract, went to the Cardinals, and you hear about how bad the Cardinals are in terms of strength and conditioning staff, and then just their whole culture out there just isn't good. Cheap owner and whatnot, but I think that trickles down to how well they're taking care of the players, even though you got some elite players out there. But he dealt with ankle injuries, hamstrings, back. He just out there and it comes back here, think, okay, fountain of youth, and I would say injury wise, he did better than he did out in Arizona, but he still dealt with that hamstring injury early on and then re-injured it. And then for whatever reason, I wish somebody in the media would ask him this: what chasing down Mac Jones, in week 13, and he tripped and fell and basically just tore apart his shoulder. So I like the hustle he gives because he's been injured. He's been given maximum effort there, but like that Mac Jones play was kind of broken up. So I don't know. Maybe that's just he goes to the whistle. But
it was like the hamstring play.
Yeah, he got sniped. I mean, that's what it looked like.
There's no point. Like, you're not going to block anyone, bro. You're like 350 pounds. You're way behind the play, bro. Like,
yeah.
I love it. We all love it. Like, that's what But man, dude, you gotta stay on the field, bud. Like,
yeah. But anyway, what happened was he tore his rotator cuff. He said he tore some other stuff, which I wouldn't be surprised if he tore his labrum, because those are very similar mechanisms of injury. It just depends on what's injured at that time. So I knew he was going to have surgery, because that's what they said they were going to do. He said he's going to be back by training camp, but they never announced when he originally those surgeries. You don't have to get done immediately. Achilles or a pectoral tear. Sometimes you can delay that stuff because you still have other muscles in the shoulder that help you, function. It's just going to hurt like hell. So, going off of that, I figured out once I got some of the different tea leaves out there, he had surgery shortly after the season, early February. So he should still be on track for training camp, but Brandon Beane had made some comments that he might not be ready for training camp. And I don't know if that suggests that maybe his rehab's going a little bit slower, or whether he's at a setback or whatever else there. But, 4 to 6 months for a rotator cuff we see that as common, but sometimes if you have some other issues or other times there's other structures involved, that can slow it down there. But I can see him starting on PUP just because of the timeline, and if he's had any setbacks or just slower recovery.
Right.
But I don't see him going 4 games, because then you're missing all the reps and everything. He needs a live football and to really make sure that shoulder's good to go out there. So if he had this, let's say he tore the rotator cuff in February, and then, he had surgery after that. Like, let's say the Bills win Super Bowl, he tears his shoulder up. Okay, fine. Maybe sit him out for the beginning of the season. But it's just going to come down to how he's doing. But if he starts on PUP, I'm not concerned, because I could see him coming off and then just, whenever they are ready. But, I wouldn't say, cool the motor off, but just maybe when you really turn that motor on to really keep after a play.
Right. I kind of feel like that somebody made a comment about Puna Ford as well. So Puna Ford got signed. By the way, really, that's a steal of a deal, in my opinion. I would hope they extend him somehow, because I think he's a really good player. But there's another one I want to mention. It's probably the one that's been talked about the most, and that's Damar Hamlin.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts about Damar Hamlin at this point right now? So he's in OTAs. I know this week he finally actually started to do actually doing work with other with coaches and stuff, because he was on the sideline initially. I think he was just doing light work, and now he's doing more heavier work as far as OTAs go. Is it more like mental right now for him? Because I know he got cleared by everybody. So like, what is it right now with Damar? Like that I know you're not expert at the heart thing, but like, what do you think's going through his mind right now, or like how is that going to play out for him?
Well, in physical therapy, we do have a lot of education in the cardiovascular system. So understanding what happened, when it happened, and then how they described everything afterward, the commotio cordis, that's not something we're necessarily being taught in PT school. But when you get in emergency management, you start finding out some of the stuff. But that, when that happened, more the doctors, the emergency medicine stuff will say, hey, that's what it could be. And I'm like, okay, let's look into this, see what's going on there. But it's awesome that he was, medically stabilized, and he, had a full recovery, and he's going to live a normal life there. So anything he does after this is all gravy. The mental aspect of things, I like how the Bills are taking it slow. Like, he might want to say, I want to get back there, I want to get hitting, I want to get on pads, but is that slow, graded exposure? You don't want to just get him back out there, because if he has a bit of a panic attack, or just something just kind of brings on something, you don't want to set back his recovery, because there's a lot of mental aspects. I mean, the guy literally died on the field, and while he might not remember all of that, acutely aware of everything that's happened. It's not like something happened and no one was around to see it. Like, millions of people saw everything. There's been so much coverage on it. So,
Right.
like, oh, I remember it. I'm good to go. Like, there's a concert alone as a reminder. If you went on Instagram and said, "Hey, I'm retiring from football. I can't do this," good for him. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised at all. But um, I'm sure he's getting the right support there. I'm sure the Bills are giving him every resource possible to say, "Hey, take your time with this," and I'm sure they have a contingency.
You're cutting out a little bit on us, Kyle. I don't know, maybe hard something with internet, maybe, but that's all right. See if you can because you're going in and out. Yeah. So as soon as you do that, just let me know, and I can because you got some questions here.
I think I'm okay now. I wonder if I was just
Okay.
too far away from the microphone there. So
No,
I'll
I mean
try
it was.
to.
I think you were paused. You were like,
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah.
Maybe,
It might have
maybe
been
my
this
wife was
internet.
watching Netflix or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Netflix. By the way, damn Netflix messed me up, man. I was sharing a password. Boy, there's said no more of that, boy.
Capitalism at its finest there. So,
yeah.
but
Chewy wants to know about Josh's elbow.
yeah, Josh's elbow. I mean, it's incredible. We found so much more information out about Josh's elbow after the fact. Like, still looking back, I mean, the actual medical staff had said he was going to be out, a few weeks there with that, and then he ended up getting an outside opinion. And they said you have to play with the brace, don't take unnecessary hits, and he was cleared by an outside doctor. So keep that in mind. So the original doctors in house were saying 2 to 3 weeks, keep him out. He did do the PRP injection, had throws and say, hey, I was feeling pretty good. And though we saw how the effects of him, throwing in the next few weeks after that was definitely affected. There shouldn't be any long-term issues, in terms of, playing the next season. Now, if he gets hit there, yeah, certainly. Maybe 5-7 years from now, maybe some elbow issues. I don't know, maybe, but if we can win the Super Bowl or two within that time frame, it's not gonna really matter. I want Josh to be healthy, but his elbow in the short term shouldn't be causing any issues. But they're gonna be mindful to make sure he rehabs anything, manages any pain, if there's any arthritic changes, being proactive about it instead of wait until it gets too bad and then he can't sling a football anymore. So he should be fully healthy heading into the season and just being smart about, I don't want to say not necessarily taking hits. You're getting more likely to get more injured in the pocket, which we've seen with his elbow than outside the pocket, but they have been beefing up the offensive line to give him that more protection. So if he does need extra time, he's not getting those crazy hits like he did.
Yeah. And then Chewy wants to know about Mitch Morse, about if he gets another concussion, we talking retirement. I mean, that would be number 7, I believe, or 8, not counting, of course, high school and college. Probably he's not counting, but NFL wise, I think he's on 6. I could be wrong.
Let
6 or
me
7.
check.
I thought it was 6. I could be wrong. You'll know better than me, but I'm pretty sure it's 6. But yeah, Chewy, man, that worries me. Mitch does worry me with that.
Yeah, it does because I mean, I talked about this 20 years ago. Maybe it's not a big issue, but now it just has become a bigger issue because we see the effects of head trauma. Player you favorite. They've all talked about head injuries like that. So he had 2 in 2015, 1 in 2018, and then he's had now 3 with. Yeah, he had one this past
6.
year. So 6, yeah. So I don't know if he's one away from retirement. We saw Jordan Reed with Washington, and I think he played for San Francisco a little bit too. He got to about 7 or 8. And guys back in the 60s, 70s, 80s who had many more that were undiagnosed, or of course they didn't take the concussions as seriously then. So to say he's one concussion away from retirement, I don't agree with that. But he's gonna know when he wants to walk away. I know he's on shorter term deals, so I think he probably has a game plan that if it does happen where, hey, I gotta leave, then he's left it all on the table.
Right.
I think he's going to go until he can't anymore. But I know he's talked with everybody imaginable to understand the risk as he continues to play through things. But he's been pretty good about his health, and other than concussions, he's been very healthy. He had elbow injury all year last year, but he hardly missed any time, and he still snapped effectively.
Right. Yeah, he wore that brace. I remember him wearing a brace for a little bit. But yeah, the thing with I like Mitch Morse, but at this point in his career, I will say this for at least for the Buffalo Bills side of things, when we initially got him, he was one of the better centers in the league. He was probably top 5 at the time.
Yep.
And I think right now, like they graded him at like he's like in the middle of the pack kind of center right now. If he got another concussion and he has to miss games, it's kind of time for the Buffalo Bills to start to say, hey, we need to. It's probably his last season, regardless if he wants to play again or not another year. Like you got to be available, and he's had quite a few here in Buffalo. Yeah. So I think if he has another one, yeah, I think I mean for him as well. I think he needs to start thinking about what he wants to do because it kind of messes up the Bills as well. Yeah. Oh yeah,
I know he's been talking with people, but I think whenever no one's gonna let him go out there when he's not safe. Like no sane doctor's gonna clear him, say, you're good to go, and what's another one there? So I think he knows what he's walking into with all that stuff. It's just a matter of when he feels like he's ready to go, or saying, hey, this is at the point where I don't think you're gonna be able to come back from this. But I know the Bills have been starting that contingency plan with getting Ryan Bates in there, potential center. So like they know what they want to do, and if he walks away, they know what they need to do to move on to the next step. I mean, every guy is replaceable to a certain extent. So.
Yeah, pretty much. And me and Mikey agree with you on that. By the way, we have a feeling that Bates may be the center when Morse steps away or retires or whatever happens with Morse. But real quick, Chewy wants to know most common NFL injury. Let me guess before you answer. Hamstring. But go ahead. I'm guessing. I'm not a doctor, so what's the most common?
If I recall correctly, it's knee sprains are the most common, and it's hamstring. And I believe that was off of NFL preseason injury tracking. But that's pretty accurate because that's a good guess though. I mean, hamstrings are right up there. Because I mean, you got 90 guys in camp, 32 teams. That's a lot of guys there. So it's a lot of data you can collect, and they just find that your typical knee sprain followed by hamstrings, then that kind of goes down the list there. I don't have that memorized, but that's why it's like when you see an MCL sprain, it's like okay, whatever. It's just kind of dime a dozen with those.
Kim is hoping not to hear from you much this year.
I've had that comment quite a lot on Reddit, on Twitter. I'm okay with that. I mean, there's been some weeks I'm just like, I don't know how people are still wanting to read this stuff. It's been just nonstop. So yeah, I agree. If I don't have to talk as much, I'm okay with that.
That's great. Yeah, I gotta say, like last year, it was wild the amount of injuries we had because I mean, obviously every year there's gonna have some kind of injuries, but I felt like up until last year we had like light injuries, like not like maybe a hamstring, then maybe a sprained ankle, nothing that was like craziness. I felt like last year, Kyle, like right from the get off was Jordan Poyer in camp, and I don't know if you remember this, and I'm like one of the few people that do, and I actually played it like before, but Bill's social media, they love like doing these little quirky videos and stuff. Oh yeah. So during training camp, they put this weird video out of like an ambulance driver going onto St. John Fisher's Field, and like the coach McDermott's running like something's bad happened, and then they're just like no cap, and then they just leave. Like I didn't get it. Right? I
don't remember this. They've done some weird stuff.
Yes, it was the weirdest thing.
It's above my head here,
Poyer got hurt the following week. It was so odd. Like I was like, why would you do that? Even joke around that there's a serious injury. Right? Like it was just so weird of them. Yeah. So then it was
the
like
volume of injuries was not necessarily unprecedented.
Yeah,
but for the Bills, it was unprecedented.
Yeah. Chewy's coming in. What was the worst football injury you ever witnessed? Thanks again.
Worst football. I mean, I feel like the Damar Hamlin one I've watched. I mean, I've seen certainly worse bad injuries.
Graphic wise, right? Like, are you talking? That was the worst. But graphic wise, or
it wasn't a football injury. It was the Richard Zednick throat slash in the Sabres game. I was there with my first girlfriend in 2008, and I remember we were up in the nosebleeds. And you go down, all of a sudden you see blood on the ice. You're like, okay, whatever. And then you see the splurt. I'm like, that's not normal. And I remember an older person passed out, and so the EMT people were running up there. But that was probably the worst one I've seen live. And I'm like, oh, that's he survived, he was fine. But it was just like, wow. And then you start thinking Clint Malarchuk, all that stuff like that there.
Yeah, bro. That was. I remember that. I don't watch hockey, but I remember seeing it on like the news or whatever. Yeah. Mine was I would say Alex Smith because I was watching Red Zone and like it happened. I was like, whoa, like,
Yeah.
and it was live. Like I saw it, and then the announcers they didn't know it yet. Like the way
Yep.
they were calling it, I'm like, oh, I saw it happen. I'm like, oh my god, and then I saw
Yeah.
the Dak one, which is pretty bad. And then I would obviously the DeMar was the most scariest one for
Yeah.
me, like the most like something's really really wrong. And then before that was the Everett, Kevin Everett, the
Yeah.
tight end for the Buffalo Bills on the special team return. I knew something was wrong there. So those are the like those ring bell for me. Like it's like
Yeah.
far as like crazy injuries that I recall, but. Yeah, ankle injuries and stuff like breaks. I remember even Matt Milano. Did Matt Milano break his
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it
ankle?
was a goal line against the Jets, and somebody fell on the back of him, and just it was a freak thing. Like nothing could happen. But even then, that wasn't even that graphic. It wasn't like he
No,
hit
it
guys
wasn't.
or
It
anything
wasn't.
like
You
that.
didn't
But
see it like
yeah,
right, like the Alex Smith one was like
yeah,
it's like was the opposite way. Like it was like unbelievable. And then by the way, speaking of Alex Smith, and then he almost died. Like right, like he had a blood clot in his leg or something
he had a
crazy.
bunch
Like
of infections. He had a
yeah,
lot of stuff going on. The fact that he came back and played with an AFO, like just everything about that, what he did to come back and play was remarkable.
right. You got to
You
give
know,
him credit. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, 100%, man.
just on unknown
Um,
terms though.
back real quick on the DeMar thing. The only thing
Mhm.
I worry about, it's not even really worrying about. I know he's 100%, like the doctors cleared him, all that. But like when he gets back, like, and I honestly didn't think he'd be back. I thought he was going to take at least a year off just to
Mhm.
kind of see where his head was at, with things. But I wonder about the other players. So
That-
like
That's a good,
during camp,
yeah.
right? During camp, these guys, listen, they're hitting, right? Like I'm talking about not OTAs. I'm talking when the real thing happens, right? When they are hitting each other. I wonder, like, if other players are just, it's in their mind. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
now other teams who, I'm sure it is what it is. Once football, I'm talking, when we play preseason game, it doesn't matter. But I'm talking about all our guys in specific. I wonder if it's in their mind. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, man, just, what do you think about that? You think it's floating in their minds too? As far as like, hey, we can't really, or like, I don't want to hit this guy too hard, or maybe I should do something different. Like, or you think to them they're past that, like football moves on. Like
No,
we're
it's
gonna
a
do
great
it.
question. It's really a great question. I'm trying to think the best way to answer this. I want to say that it might be in the balance, but it also might be, hey, we've known this guy, we've been through the entire thing with him. We know where he's at from a headspace. We can just go play, and focus on what we have to do there. There might be that slight, that first hit, whoever lays that first hit on him and be like, hey, he's okay. But I don't
Right.
think that it's not like every person that goes to hit him, oh my God, did I hurt him? Like it was such a rare event. We may never see it again. It was just happened to be on Monday Night
Yeah.
Football and in front of millions of people. So I think maybe that first hit where he pops back up, hey, I'm okay. And then that's it. I think it's about the extent of what it might be. But I think those guys realize they know what they signed up for. They have a job
Yeah.
to do, and they're gonna play to the best of the abilities, regardless of other guys around, because it's not like once you hit week one, you're gonna have some rookie. I mean, you would think everybody knows what's going on, but a lot of people are gonna be fighting for their jobs, or people might not be aware that, oh, number 3, DeMar Hamlin, I can't touch him. They're gonna run
Right.
right through him because that might be the paycheck for the week. So
Right. Right. Yeah, you're right. Jason ran on the field and yelled, "This is Sparta!" Destroy somebody. Real quick, too, just off topic. I don't know why I just thought about this, but I was watching the news the other day, and LSU came out with these helmets. I don't know if you saw, but they have
I
like
did,
air.
yeah.
So somebody had mentioned, I don't know who I was watching. I don't know, it was a sports show, but they said it's not good because if you're getting like air and heat up top, but not like, and then your body's hot, like it can like mess things up or something. What is that true or
I don't know. I'd have
like
to
if you're
look into that
cooler
for
up
you.
top, but like hot, you know what I mean? Like if like if you got nothing going, like you know what I'm saying? Like is that
Yeah,
bad or
yeah, you would think you'd want like a whole AC thing like in your
right,
pads and everything else like that. So I don't know.
right? It's
I'm
odd,
not
yeah,
sure what to make of that, but I'm sure it feels good. I don't know how much effective it
right.
can be, but
Odd. I don't know.
yeah.
That's really weird. I would think if they're doing it in the helmet, do it everywhere else. I
Yes, I
guess,
agree. I
but,
agree. That's a good point there. Putting the
but
pads and
it's
keep them cool all
odd.
over.
Right. Odd, man. So next one we're on. God, there's a lot, Kyle. Now they're just popping in my head. Micah Hyde. right? So this was his second, correct? Neck surgery, I believe, or he had
First one. He
something.
had a history of neck injuries dating back to
Okay.
his Green Bay days. Yeah.
Okay, so
I think it
talk
was
to us about a
5
little
different
about Micah.
instances.
I know Micah was supposed to come back, and I said it, by the way. I told everyone, I was like, yeah, yelling at me. I'm like, listen, he's practicing, because this was when he was talking about potentially coming back for the playoffs. And I said to everyone, he may, like, he seems like he is starting to actually, and he was going to come back the AFC East Championship game if we made it to that game, which obviously we didn't. But what's your thoughts about Micah? Any concerns going into the season with, after that surgery? What do you think, man?
So what he had basically what sounded like a disc herniation, and it problem where he had to go get it surgically repaired in terms of a fusion with discectomy. So they pull out pull out the disc, fuse the bones together, because sometimes there's, whether disc is pushing on the nerves or pushing on the spinal cord, or whether it's pushing on the nerve root that comes out, that basically the electrical cord that plugs into your arm there, that nerve root that comes off. So we don't know exactly what was causing the problems there, but it was enough that after he had that, what appeared to be an innocuous hit against the Tennessee Titans, I mean, I didn't think anything of it. Then you hear he went to the hospital, and then he's not in practice. So he had the, and it was always kind of a possibility he'd come back, late in the season if everything went right, and they were, figuring out that would be the case there. When he was that close to being divisional round playoffs for the championship game, why not just get him out there? But they had a game plan, and it was really rare for people to come back that quickly after the procedure. Like, I had found one guy in the literature from like 25 years ago that came back in like 2.5 months, but that was like, once again, 25 years ago. Like,
Right.
it was an exception. So Michael would have been the exception had he come back. But even now that he does come back for the season, he's going to be fully healthy with everything in regards to the neck. Plenty of guys fused neck in their bone fused bones in their neck. DK Metcalf, a whole bunch of other guys there. However, the timeline for guys afterward, it's about, but if you figure, Micah Hyde's, 32, I think, wherever he's on the back of his career. I don't know that this is going to affect him from a career length standpoint. If I recall correctly, the drop off in play doesn't happen too much with there, but are we going to see a drop off because of his age and just the years on his body? I don't know that the neck's going to affect him that much, but there is that concern that he could damage another disc in there, or, you just some type of hit, but I'm not too concerned about the actual repair to begin with. I think that's a routine thing. He's not going to be hesitations out there, just whether his body's going to continue to hold up. But that was one of his first really big injuries that he had, other than, some of the other smaller stuff.
Okay. Black Panther asking about the red I have no idea about the red alternative helmets. I would hope. I love those. I love the red helmets. I don't know why they took them away. Like, we had them for years in Buffalo. I think they would look so good with the red. If you're going to do the color rush, why wouldn't you have red, and red? I mean, like, I don't understand that. Like, why I like, it's just odd to me. Like, yes, bring it back. We had it once before. Should be no reason why you can't have a red helmet. So we'll see. They haven't. I think they reveal that towards, like, when they do the blue and red practice, I think, or shortly after is when they reveal the alternative helmets, but or in jerseys as well. But who knows, man? I have no idea. They tease it every year. Josh teased it last year in the blue and red. When they had the blue and red practice, he came out with the red visor, and they didn't have it. NFL, it's all up to the NFL. Like, honestly, at the end of the day, the NFL is the one that makes the decisions. Like, if we could have the craziest, coolest, and NFL could be like, nope.
Yep.
So, it is what it is, man. So let's get on current players, guys that we, or actually new players, guys that we just added to the roster. So we won't get on all of them, but let's start with the draft class first. Let's begin with that. So number 1 pick, Kincaid. Anything on him, or he's been running pretty clean as far as injuries go?
Yeah, he has been. He was coming off his back injury in college. It forced him to miss the bowl game and I think one other game. And he was out. He wasn't able to participate in the combine, the pro days, things like that. So there's that risk when he was coming out, like, okay, he has this back injury. What does this mean? People start thinking Rob Gronkowski and some other stuff like that there. But what it looked like when I did the article over at Cover One, you can go find that if you want to, or on my site, I'd put a link up there. But based on the video and the timeline and everything else there, it looked as though he had compression fracture. So this is the vertebral body, the actual vertebrae, because then you have the basically the round part of the vertebrae, and then you have the stuff that kind of encompasses encases the spinal cord as it goes down through the spinal column there. So basically, what happens is in the video that I found, he landed on his back, and then he had I believe it was Colorado defender land on his legs and basically flat suddenly. And that's usually a common way to cause a compression fracture. You see it with trauma. You also see it in older ladies with osteoporosis, and older people in general too. Sometimes you get bending forward and hear something like that. And they can do surgery to fix that if they need to, but in Dalton's case, they didn't. So they really just need to let it heal up and make sure that he wasn't overstressing the area, causing that bone tissue to kind of delay healing. So they were real slow with it, and then he was cleared to and whatnot. And doctors were pretty good about making sure that he was not having any residual issues. So he was just knocking the rust off during OTAs, and he had even said that. But he's been pretty healthy otherwise. It's just a freak thing, and with him being drafted in the first round, that fit the timeline, or not the timeline, the profile that they look guys. They pick guys with minimal injury history in the first or second round, or broken bones excluded. But he just fit what they're looking for, and he should be a nice piece.
All right. Spin asking, did Peyton have that same surgery? I'm guessing he's talking about Micah Hyde, and then he won the Super Bowl with Denver.
He did. I'm not sure the same level, but he had the same thing. But of course, Micah's hitting people, Peyton's throwing, and he can throw a football 10 yards right after that, and he missed the whole year of football because of all that. So like it might have been the same surgery, but far different outcomes with regards to what the demands of the football positions were.
Yeah, man. He was his last year in Denver, man, when they won the Super Bowl, which wasn't his best. Yeah, no. Which wasn't even his best year.
No.
Luckily, his defense with Vaughn and all them is the ones that really. Because honestly, even like before that, they had, I think, who was it? Osweiler or whatever. I forget the backup. Actually got him to like that, I think, right? He won him the playoff game or something like that.
Yeah, he stepped up when he needed to, and then came back on his bum foot and got him through the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was sad to see, but hey, he got the job done. He retired. He was smart, very smart to walk away when he went because he was toast by then.
Mm-hmm.
So. Let's get on Osiris Torrance, and then we'll move on to free agents. So, actually, no, I'm gonna one more player after that. But anything on Osiris that we need to worry about, or he's been pretty
knee sprain last year, concussion from a car accident.
Okay, good. And one guy that I'm intrigued with, ton of injuries, Justin Shorter.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on with him, man? Is he something that we just need to worry about, and he's just had bad luck, or it's just kind of followed him throughout his career, just pretty much in football?
I mean, I guess part of why he dropped in, he was the top receiver, coming out of high school, and he had a lot of talent coming out to Penn State, and then had to transfer. He had dislocated patella during the preseason, and in 2018 missed most of the season that year. He's had some head and neck injuries. At one point, he the field, on the stretcher, like we've seen before with Dane Jackson and other guys. I mean, that stuff is protocol if there's suspected neck injury and whatnot, but he just sometimes he plays a very physical position, and sometimes he gets hit just that way, and they need to take those precautions there. Yeah, he had a hamstring injury last year, missed some 3 games. He's been beat up, but
I know he had the concussion, right? The scary, they carted him off the field.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
That,
they said it was a head injury. I mean, you see when you have a head injury like that, you would assume there would be concussion. I never saw anything that officially said that it was a concussion.
Okay.
But usually you kind of put 2 and 2 together with that, especially when they say the evaluator of head injury. Most time it's a concussion. But if you're going to offer Canadian C-spine rules, you're probably having a concussion at the very least. So,
right,
but I mean, he dropped for a reason. He was worth a flyer in the 5th round. If they picked him in the second, I'd say, but 5th round, hey, that's fine. If he works out, great. If not,
yes. And he's taller. He's I think 6'4", almost 6'5".
He's a big boy.
And I don't know, man. I see the potential in him, but I also saw it in Marquez Stevenson. So it is what it is. But
too. But once again, you take
Yes.
flyers on guys on day 3, maybe they can plan out. So
Yeah, not everyone works out in the NFL. You could take day 1 picks, and then there's a ton of them I could talk about all day. So, free agent wise, so we already talked about. Did we talk about Puna Ford or no? Did anything?
we brought him up, but not talking about injury standpoint.
Okay.
He had a bunch of little injuries, nothing really,
nothing concerning.
No.
Okay, and then I guess we'll get to the latest one, which is Leonard Floyd. So Leonard Floyd had, I know, some early on injuries, right, with Chicago.
Yes.
That kind of messed them up after his rookie season. So anything that we should be concerned about Leonard?
Had calf injuries his first year. I mean, that's going to happen. He had 2 concussions, rather close together, week 11 and then week 16. And the about that was when during the offseason noted that it took him nearly 2 months to get fully right. So I think he went to injured reserve. Yeah, he missed the final game of the season and then took nearly 2 months to get fully right after that. So I don't know how much treatment those guys are getting after the season. It's not like they cut him loose. I'm sure they're still following up with them on stuff like that. But where he probably felt totally right, that's notable. I mean, I hope that wouldn't carry on, but he hasn't had a concussion, at least documented one since then. But still, like you mentioned early on stuff, and then he had a right knee MCL and PCL tear, caused him to miss 6 games in 2017, hand fracture in 2018. He played through. He's been pretty durable ever since then. He's had a bunch of smaller injuries, with the Rams and whatnot, but he was really kind of get rid of the injury bug early on in his career and really has been durable, not missing any games since the 2018 season. Just, you play through what you can.
And one more I'm going to bring up. I think it's a good pickup, good signing, but he just doesn't stay healthy, and that's Harris, running back. So,
yeah.
What's up with Harris, man? It just seems like since he's been drafted, he just cannot. He's had bad luck. He just can't not stay on the field. So, what's the concern with Harris coming into this season?
He plays a position that has a very short shelf life. That's what it comes down to. But he's had a ton of ankle injuries, hamstrings. He had a really bad thigh contusion last year that cost him, I believe, it was 4 games. As I'm pulling this up right now. Concussions. I mean, he's a lot. He's one of those guys that if he can stay healthy, he's a great pickup. If he can't stay healthy and they have to cut him, I don't think you really lose a whole lot there. But
no, that's my concern, man.
Yeah.
By the way, real quick, I started to cut you off. So Murray, who we brung in too, he's actually not been like an injury. He's actually been pretty durable. So
he had
I guess we're going to
get surgeries early in his career, but otherwise he's been very durable. Funny how they both play the same position, and you could see the wheels falling off on Harris after 4 or 5 years, and Murray's still chugging along, and he even had an ACL tear early on his college career. It's just funny how guys play. There's just different outcomes. I mean, Frank Gore played forever. Some of the other guys just kept on going. Other guys that they just burn out real quickly.
Yeah. So now let's get into the fun of things. Let's talk Buffalo Bills football, and I want to know your thoughts. So. Real quick, Jason coming in with cut Harris and Murray and sign Dalvin Cook. Listen, sure, I'd be all on board, but easier said than done. Come on now. Dalvin Cook's going to do his rounds just like DeAndre Hopkins is going to do his rounds. I have a weird feeling that Dalvin Cook's going to go to Miami. That's just me personal. I just think he's a Miami guy. The taxes thing, state tax thing. Listen, the only way he would come to Buffalo is if he took like an unbelievable deal because he wanted to play with his brother. Like he wanted to make a cool thing to be with his brother on a team. But then I also got to say, like, for him, would he think that he's taking his brother, oh, now I'm coming in, I'm going to take your reps away. And, I don't know. I don't know how that goes. But maybe he doesn't want to steal his brother's his spotlight away either. You know what I mean? Like, he comes here. Cook would be the guy. Like, let's be real here. James Cook would not be he'd be second. Okay, it's just the way it works. So
I agree.
I just don't see it happening. I still think the Hopkins is in play, because the longer this takes for him not to be signed, the lower his value will go, guys. That's how normally it goes, right? The longer teams are like passing up. Right, and he's not getting signed. He's doing his rounds. Look at OBJ last year. Now, by the way, OBJ got paid, which is kind of messing us up right now. But nobody signed him last year. Everybody's like, right? So usually how this works is he'll do his rounds, and we'll see. Not every team's going to be willing. Just because he's going to visit the Titans doesn't mean the Titans are going to go, yeah, we're going to pay you $20 million. Like, they're going to do their homework too. They're going to decide what a 30-year-old receiver is worth. Is he worth 2 years? Is he worth 1 year? It's all going to be that way. So listen. I don't think we're out of it. I think it's a slim chance, but I will say I'll be surprised if he doesn't do a visit to Buffalo.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either.
We even listen. OBJ came in for a visit. Now, once again, that doesn't mean anything, guys. So don't get all, like, oh, he's coming to Buffalo because he's doing a visit. But it would be a good sign if he comes, and I have a feeling they will, because that means you're not doing your job. And Brandon Beane always says, hey, I'm not doing my job if I don't at least make the phone call. Mm-hmm. So I think he will. What's your thoughts on Hopkins, if potentially coming to Buffalo? I mean, would you want him here? How much would you pay? What do you think about all that?
I mean, he's a article up at my site. You can go check out there. I liked it. He does come with a lot of injury baggage, even though he hasn't missed a ton of time. Like the MCL injury that required surgery, and then he had some type of knee flare-up last year. You just got to wonder whether he's going to start falling off a cliff, or how much prime years he has left. I mean, I feel like he's wasted some of those years in Arizona because he got the bag, and though he did get traded too, but he had the contract with it. I compared him to Julio Jones. I mean, Julio was boom, 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 productive.
Beast,
and then he started having hamstring issues last year in Atlanta. Atlanta wisely traded him to Tennessee for, decent haul. And then he could never just stay healthy in Tennessee. And then I even forgot that Julio was with the Bucks last year. Like, I just like, oh yeah, he's still around. Yeah.
I did
so
too.
that's you pay a whole bunch of money to this guy who he's had a lot of miles on his body. He's taken a lot of hits, and they were just a lot of smaller things. Does he start falling off the cliff here, or does he just get back on the horse and continue producing at a high level for 2, 3, 4 years there? That's the only concern I have, and of course the money, because Brandon Beane's come out and said every time it's just if it fits, he's cagey about it, but he's still more direct than maybe some other guys there.
Right, and I don't think Brandon Beane's scared to pay a player, but like you said,
no.
It has to make sense.
Sure it makes it work. He's not going to screw himself over 3 years from now and get this guy.
Right. It has to make sense in the long run, right? So, like, my thing is like, hey, Vaughn, like you want your boy here so bad, like work your contract out, and maybe, I'm just saying, you want him so bad. Go to Bean, right? Say, hey, man, if that's what you want, right? Because I don't think that's going to happen, but if that's really what you want, hey, Dion, you say you got a locker room next to you. All right, work your day. So it's easier said than done. These players know. Yeah. And I said, I did a video the other day, Kyle, about this whole DeAndre thing. And I said, hey, it's funny because, Vaughn's talking about like, oh, he wants to be with a team that has a great quarterback and a great ownership, and front office is great. But it's like, Vaughn, you took an extremely unbelievable high deal, so. Yeah. You can't blame him if he goes and gets paid somewhere else, because just you weren't coming to Buffalo if you weren't getting paid. Let's be real. You would. That's right, if LA offered you, and
he was still even questioning whether he should be on here. Yeah.
Right. So don't come with that about that. You know what I mean? It's about money, right?
Yes, it is.
A lot of these guys. Now, some of these guys, Kyle, okay, like Leonard said, now he didn't name the team, but supposedly he had a better offer. Puna Ford.
Yep.
And I'm not saying they're lying, because it's very possible. Maybe they did. That you don't blame. But if I feel like this. If somebody offers Hopkins like 13, because I don't think he's going to get 15. I just don't. I think he's like in the 13 range-ish. If Buffalo comes to like 9.5, 10, I mean, you really got to think about that if you're D-Hop. Mm-hmm. Depending on the team, of course. Now, if it's the Chiefs and they're offering 30, then guys, forget about it. It's just not happening. He's going to go with a team that's like they're a Super Bowl team. So but if it's the Houston Texans, I'm just throwing that out there at 13.
He's been talking with them, yeah.
I know exactly. So then he has to decide, okay, what makes sense for me? You know what I mean? Am I good with losing a couple mil by going to Buffalo, or do I really want to get paid and end my career? Getting paid. I mean,
he hasn't advanced past the divisional round, I think, ever in his career from a playoff standpoint. Go
Yeah.
chase the ring. But I mean, that's us talking, not
Yeah.
not getting paid millions of dollars.
There is another guy out there too. He was mentioning Spin mentioned Galladay.
No, I want nothing to do with that guy. No.
Right, right, you're right. I'll tell you the guy I was thinking, and I don't think he'll come here because just the history. Landry. Now I know he's had some injuries too, but he's a really good player when
Yeah.
healthy. And I think he could be cheap, not like super cheap, but I think he would be a decent pickup. So Kyle, the only thing that concerns me going into this season so far, there's a couple things, but the major one, or not a concern, question mark, is the receiving group. So Diggs, great. Diggs is top 10 receiver, no problem. Like we can count on Diggs. Diggs is healthy most of the time. Like, we all know what Diggs provides for this team, right? But then you got the question marks, right? Gabe Davis, who I think Gabe Davis is still a number 2 receiver. He can be a number 2. Last year, almost 900 yards, missing games, dropping. He didn't play the best. He had the injury on the ankle injury, and he still did decent. He had decent stats. But it's still a question mark. Can he get past what happened last year with the drop passes? If not, right? And then you got Khalil Shakir going in year 2. Can he get a little bit better than his rookie season? Question mark. Then you got Sherfield, who had a good season with the Dolphins, but he's going to a new team with a new quarterback and a new scheme. Question mark. So a lot of question marks except for Diggs, and that worries me. That's the only reason I was so up for getting D-Hop, because I'm like, hey, guy's proven veteran. He's a 1/2 right now in his career. He could almost be a 1 in certain teams that don't have receiver. What's your thoughts on receiving group, man? You have any concerns? I mean, you thinking the same thing?
I mean,
I know Jason hates Diggs, but go ahead.
There's been a lot of people with Gabe Davis takes this off season because you got to fill content. But now Gabe Davis, I mean, he had the high ankle sprain, which we didn't know about until later on in the season because it happened during practice, so we didn't have any video to see what was going on. And remarkably, he only missed 1 game, though. You usually need another 2, sometimes 3 games to really get back, unless you're specific, and that's exception. But with the dynamic position like wide receiver, you need a little bit more time off than that. But he also had a thumb injury partway through. I don't know when it happened, but I think it happened around the same time as the high ankle sprain, like shortly after. So that might contribute to some of the drops. And then he had a few other things that it's escaped me right now. But he's had a history of ankle injuries that just kind of follow him a little bit.
Nagging, like nagging injury.
They hit in opportune times. Like he had
Wasn't
an ankle
this
injury.
And it was in practice, right? Like it was like a weird injury, right? Like,
I don't know exactly what happened.
Okay.
He missed the Tennessee game, and they came back, and you're like, okay, well, maybe not say anything. And then you hear later, high ankle sprain. Well, okay, no wonder you were struggling. A lot of guys drop off in production after that there. So it's just, I think Gabe was never really an issue with the health-wise thing. Like he has injuries coming out of college and even in the pros, but it's nothing that is high ankle sprains linger. That's just how it is.
Yep.
It just is what it is with that, but hopefully you can get right. And there's nothing you can really do to prevent those. It's just kind of, they happen and you have to just try to rehab the best you can. We said Ed Oliver last year and whatnot, but going down the list with all the other guys, you mentioned Trent Sherfield. He's been real healthy, moving to a new team. We'll just see how he responds. Khalil Shakir has been working with Eric Moulds in the offseason, which has been great. So
Moulds, my guy.
Yeah. So hopefully he steps up, and you want to see guys grow. I mean, I'm not expecting anybody to come in like Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. Like that's just not going to happen. Those exception, not the rule. So you hope that those guys continue to grow, and then the rest of the receiver room continue just building up and just getting better. So if we add to DeAndre Hopkins, that's great. Upgrade the room, but it's not like the room is bad by any means either.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. I just think it's a question mark. I see the potential. Like I think Shakir could be a really good player in this league.
Yeah.
He has really good hands. He has good yak. He has to get. I think him and Josh have to really start building a chemistry together. Yeah. Josh is like that, man. Josh really, he has to trust you, and then once he starts leaning more and more towards you, he'll really start throwing you the ball. I mean, look at Dawson Knox. Like, I think year 3 it was, like when he started, really him and Josh started having this connection. Oh, yeah. Even McKenzie, he was starting to trust McKenzie a little bit. But if you notice, last year when McKenzie was kind of dropping passes, not running right, he stopped leaning towards McKenzie, stopped not going to McKenzie. So I don't know. But Jason, I know you have Kincaid, who's actually a tight end / receiver. But listen, rookie tight ends normally don't have breakout seasons. Like, I can't remember the last one that had a breakout, unbelievable season. Like
Kyle Pitts probably, and
yeah,
even,
that's the only. And he kind of had a little, some rough little stretch there too.
Yeah.
But I agree, Kyle Pitts maybe the last one, and they had no receivers, by the way. Kyle Pitts was the only guy there.
I mean, he was the only option for him.
Exactly. So I would pump the brakes on Kincaid like in his first year. Let him, like, they're gonna definitely use him in the offense, but I don't know if he's gonna be like the focal point of the offense. If he is, great. Unbelievable. But it normally doesn't happen that way. Who had most of the drops last year? Probably, I would say a lot of Gabe Davis. Dawson Knox had a lot of drops too. McKenzie had a ton of drops. It wasn't just Gabe Davis. But I don't know. Listen, man, ankle injuries, I broke my ankle. I know how it is when you get back, especially when even if you sprain it, it's kind of, I don't know. To me, it's like you think about what you're doing when you're running, you're cutting, and maybe that affected the way he was trying to catch a football, because I felt like the year before and the year before, he didn't really have that issue. He was amazing at catching sideline, catches. I mean, it was just last year where he started dropping passes. So I don't know. What do you feel about that? You think the ankle can?
If you push up the ankle, that can affect that there too, in terms of where you're at in space. You kind of come down and make sure you have your weight distributed evenly and whatnot.
Yeah. So we'll listen. He's coming in this season healthy now, right? Things way done. Gabe Davis, I will say this too. That dude grinds in the offseason.
He does.
He is a hard worker, man. So we can't deny that about him. He busts his ass in the offseason. So let's see what happens. It's his last year anyways, guys. So it's like, I don't know if Bills are going to re-sign him anyways. So enjoy him while he's here anyways. He is our number 2 right now. So I wouldn't just totally hate on him and be like, oh, he is our number 2. I don't care what y'all say right now. He is our number 2. That's just the way it goes. And then Shakir, and then you got Dalton Kincaid and Knox. Like, there's a lot of good weapons out there for Josh Allen to pick from. So Sherfield too. By the way, Sherfield had, I think, 480 last year with the Dolphins. He had a good season, so he could listen. Back in 2002, we had Molds at 1,300 almost, Peerless Price at 1,250, and Josh Reed at 500, and Travis Henry at 1,500. It's very possible that we can have a 2. We haven't had that, by the way, since 2002, Kyle. 2 receivers at 1,000 yards. So I'm hoping it's a long. I'm hoping it can finally happen. And then my other concern, obviously, is offensive line still. I think they did a much better job this offseason on paper. Now, of course, I thought that last year, too, when they added Saffold and Quessenberry, and it just didn't hold true. But this offseason, I felt like for what the money they had on salary cap, adding McGovern, who has potential, right? I thought he had ups and downs in Dallas, but you could see the potential in him. But we'll see, right? And then everybody else 1-year deals, right? So Davis, I think it is from LA, the Rams, or David
Edwards,
Rams. Yeah, David Edwards from the Rams. And then we got just recently the right tackle from Miami, or played for Miami last year. Drawing a blank here.
Brandon
Shell. So the only thing right now is kind of the biggest question mark is going to be Spencer Brown, which a lot of people talk about, right? So Spencer Brown is the major topic on the offensive line right now at right tackle. What do you feel about Spencer Brown heading into the season now that has his back surgery over with from last year? Now he can work with Cromer more because he had no OTAs last year. He had no training camp. They just threw him in game 1, basically, week 1. What's your thoughts about Spencer Brown, man?
I think with the final healthy offseason, because he's never really had true offseason to really get by between COVID and the back surgery and just that transition from the draft to the pros. They get no breaks with that. my guy Joe Marino over at Locked On Bills nail on the head. He really thinks he's a candidate for a breakout season because he's finally healthy heading into an off season and has the time to actually prepare instead of playing catch up there. So, I mean, he had a bunch of injuries coming in, from college and even, throughout his brief pro career so far. But I'm agreeing with Joe right now. He could be the next breakout guy once he's staying healthy and can get the reps he needs to take that next step.
See, I'm with you and Joe then. And by the way, we are there's not a lot of people that are with us on this one. I believe in this dude. I think, listen, Spencer Brown is very athletic. I think he's a raw player. He played basketball, multiple sport, whatever. And then in college, I think he's a late bloomer, right? He just got into the position. So I still think he has work, to be done. It's things to be learned. And the good thing is we got Cromer from last year, Cromer's one of the best offensive line coaches. He just didn't get to work with him because he had a back surgery. So going into this offseason now with Cromer, now you have the time. Now you got the reps. Now you got the preseason games to prove your worth, right? Now, and I told everybody, hey, okay, if the season starts and this dude is still getting lit up by defenders on the edge. The problem with Spencer that I saw was he gets beat a lot by speed edge rushers. Like that is his problem. He kind of gets beat on the outside. But maybe that also too with his back thing. I don't know. But if he can clean that up, work with Cromer, yeah, I'm agree with you, man. I think that dude could be a solid right tackle in this league. But Shell, listen, I think also too, if he gets hurt or anything, I think Shell's a great addition to fill in. He did great with Miami last year. Miami, listen, Dolphin fans are pissed that he left. They're angry. He was a really good right tackle there. And we got him for 1 year. Once again, though, most of these guys are 1 year deals, guys. So for as much as we did a lot of work fixing the offensive line, it's not really fix. It's like a patchwork. Like, I still feel like next year we need to go in the draft again. You got to get another, you got to get more offensive line. That's where you win, man, in the trenches. And I felt like last year in Cincinnati, in a lot of games, we got exposed, man. We got exposed on the offensive line, and it showed, man. It showed on our defensive line, too, but our offensive line was just bad. I'm starting to think Hines might be going bye-bye due to the kick returns. Yeah, man, I feel bad for a lot of these guys, man. The kick return, what do you feel about that? The new kick return rule, I think it's terrible.
I know they're trying to, maximize safety and stuff like that, but yeah, they should have done a different way, bringing the rule in, because they just made an abrupt change, and they pattern guys and select guys based off of certain ways they can maximize the special teams, and you take away a key part of that. Well, suddenly you get the guys who can't do what they do best there. And sometimes that's how guys' careers are made or started, because of special teams. So I'm all for making the game safer, but you gotta still keep some of the elements in there. At least if you're going to change things, allow teams to adapt before these things just start pulling the rug out from underneath these guys here. So
right, like I don't know why. Like, they're not going to do it, by the way, but I don't know why they didn't do it like the XFL does it, where it's they 5 yards apart. They had no injuries, I think, in 2021, like 0 injuries last year or something on kickoff returns. So guys line up 5 yards apart, you kick the ball, boom. So it's not a fast, like, where guys are just hauling ass down there hitting each other. I think, and you still have the kick return, in play. Like, they could have done that, but I feel like if they do it, then they feel like, oh, they're taking from the XFL.
Yeah, it's not their idea, so they don't want to accept it. That's all it is.
Right.
There, yeah.
So that's what I feel. Even though it's a great, I think it would work. Nobody would complain. Trust me. Nobody would be like, oh, this is kiddie shit. I think we would all be good with it, because we still see the kick return. Kick return is awesome. You saw what Hines did last year. 2 of them, like, that's electric. Now you're going to take that away. Because listen, you kick it off at the 5 yard line. I'm going to fair catch it all again. I'm sorry. And I'm sure special team coaches are going to say, just fair catch it. Like, why would you take the risk? You're automatically 25. So, terrible rule, man. Awful. Yeah. I just do not like the new. Maybe they change it again. You know how that it's voted on. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, maybe they change it again. So we got a couple minutes left. So what's your thoughts on the offseason overall? Like, how the draft went, how the free agent signings went? Did you like it? What would you grade it?
I'm going to address one of the comments here real quick.
Yeah, go
Hi,
ahead.
Chad. Yeah. That's my neighbor comment. He had any concerns about Deion Dawkins' elbow with the offseason corner place. I'm all for it. Any cross training is great. He's out there having fun.
Cornhole?
You
Is
know,
he doing cornhole?
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it's
So
funny.
I'm
When I
all for
look,
that, Chad. It's 100% go for me there. So
when I never knew about this until I moved up north. I'm not, I was from South Florida, so I don't know. I never played cornhole. I never even seen it. I came up here and someone was like, "You want to go cornhole?" I'm like, "What the hell is that?" I'm like, "Okay, sure."
it's a fun game. You have a
It
beer. You
is.
know,
It is.
we play it in
100%.
a cul-de-sac all the time. Chad's pretty decent. So
No, 100%, man. It's a cornhole. It's fun. Oh, good Lord, man.
but
So
anyway, go back
what's
to
your yeah,
your
go ahead.
yeah.
What's your
So
overall thoughts about everything? The grade, like the draft, the off season. Like, how do you feel like Brandon Bean did?
he he's been the best GM we've had since Bill Polian. I mean, there's been other ones that have been doing okay, but in terms of team building, in terms of getting this team back at relevance, he's done a great job. He's always constantly trying to turn over the roster, try to find other ways. They signed Cam Dantzler, released Kyler McMichael. They brought Leonard Floyd in. They released Isaiah Bauer. Find guys that, hey, we can bring in, we can develop, but if we find something better, good. We cut the other guy loose and bring him in. So I think the idea they're always trying to improve the talent. And I mean, you can improve almost anybody on the roster except for maybe QB1. And I just like that the fact that they're building things, and you're never going to get it perfect because even though you might have the perfect roster on paper, injuries can happen. Sometimes guys just don't have it. That times just things out of your control. So I just like what they are doing. There's that confidence that Brandon Bean knows what he's doing. He's not just swinging for the fences, hoping for that silver bullet to fix things like we saw with Doug Whaley and Russ Brandon and Tom Donahoe and all the other guys that just thought that free agency would just be fixing everything. So
Right.
I'm happy that the team is relevant. They're very competitive. We could see a Super Bowl again in our lifetime. It's a good time to be a Bills fan, and
100%.
I don't really question many of their decisions.
Yeah, you can't.
If you question them, it's because you don't have all the information at the time.
Yep. Chad is thank you, Doc. Here's my concern. So and by the way, Cowherd, like him or hate him, I think he's one of the better ones, at least for sports, personalities go that it's on. I think he's kind of fair with things. Yeah, he's a little over the top, and sometimes he's way off, but I feel like out of a lot of them, he is one of the better ones that I could actually listen to. He talked about the Buffalo Bills the other day, and basically was saying that we've spent a lot of money on defense, and it was us and Pittsburgh and Tennessee, and I think we were like 4-12 in the last 4 years in the playoffs. Something crazy, like a terrible stat, right? And he was basically just saying, listen, man, we can keep spending money on defense with these defensive-minded head coaches and stuff, but it's not really taking us far in the playoffs, right? And I guess I got a question. So for you, and it's a tough one for me because I've been thinking about it for a long time. To be honest with you, how long do we go on with Sean McDermott if he doesn't get us to a Super Bowl? Because we're going on year 7, right, Kyle? And for as much as he's done, and man, dude, like honestly, like I absolutely love everything that he's brought to the table, what he's done for the city of Buffalo, this team, McDermott being like they've done a phenomenal job. I sat through 17 seasons of the drought, misery with terrible coaches that promised things and it never got fulfilled. Like we all heard it, and he actually fulfilled a lot of his promises, right? But has he hit like a wall, right? Like, and that's where I'm concerned because you could be a really good coach, but maybe not get to that next level. And there's been coaches in every sport that's done that, right? Like they can only go so far for some reason. And it's like, I think it's tough for us because what he's done, like for this team, and like, okay, now we're a real contender and we're AFC East champions 3 years in a row. Like, man, it's great. But like, when do we eventually go, man, but now we're year 9, year 10, like when is finally we go, I gotta move on. Like, what do you think about that? Like, I know it's tough because you want to believe, but I mean, like, how much do you go on? And a defensive minded head coach. I also kind of feel like, Kyle, like the last defensive head coach to win was what I think Belichick, right?
Yeah.
So like the league to me is like even in basketball, by the way, is going offense, right?
Yep.
So they want scoring, right? In the NFL, they're protecting the quarterback more. A lot of calls go for against the defense more than the offense. So I don't. Is a defensive minded head coach a guy that could win a Super Bowl? I'm not saying they can't, but does he have a tougher edge against an offensive minded head coach? So what's your thoughts on that whole thing I just rambled on about?
I think it might come down just if his messaging is growing stale. We saw that with a number of successful coaches over the years. They move on from him. Andy Reid, make the case that maybe Indiana, Tony Dungy, in Tampa Bay before they won it all with John Gruden. I mean, there's been a number of coaches over years. They kind of they lose the locker room or they lose the messaging and they have to move on. I think it's what could come down to if Sean McDermott leaves. I don't think he's anywhere close to that. Sometimes it's come down to just luck. I mean, we saw that with 13 seconds. We saw that with, some other things with it make an AFC title game a few years ago. I think it might just come down to, can everything align in the right way to win a Super Bowl? I mean, he's doing all the right things, bringing them success he has had, in decades in Buffalo. So it's just a matter of, can he put it all together? I don't think he's a Marty Schottenheimer, but, he might be at that point where he, can't get him over the hump. And if that is, well, hey, you had a lot of success in that time frame, and maybe you get somebody that goes over the top there. We saw it with Marvin Lewis, Cincinnati Bengals. And we see that with other guys. Yeah. So it's just it's too soon to tell with McDermott. You hope he doesn't lose the locker room, but I've said this before on other podcasts. I'm going to say I've seen this movie before. I growing up all through high school, and my wrestling program had the same approach there. The coach had the right mindset. He brought the right guys in, just really made that culture, the continuity of things and it really helped build it up. And then things continued excelling even after I graduated. My brother wrestled, and it grew over the next, decade and a half, and it really culminated in some great things for that program. But it just sometimes it takes the right amount of luck and right amount of guys in the room there. So, but it was a sustainable thing, and I think that's what they're looking for. And I know that's what Brandon Bean talks about is you want to win a Super Bowl, but you don't want to tank and lose everything. You want to make sure it's sustainable. So, I think they're on the right path. And for Sean McDermott to lose his job would require a significant shift in that culture or a loss of the locker room or something. But I don't think he's anywhere close to the hot seat.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's on the hot seat, but I will say this with Sean going into this season. I think he's a lot of pressure on him because he's now calling defensive.
Yeah.
He's the defensive coordinator. I think if things don't go as planned, meaning with the defense, a lot of chatter is going to happen with the media, with Bill's Mafia. It is year 7, right? Like you eventually have to start. You have to get over that hump. You have to figure out what is preventing you from getting to a Super Bowl. And like I said, I told you, there's other sports too. Like I'm a Piston fan, right? So Flip Saunders came to the Pistons, and his knock throughout his whole career was, man, he's a great regular season coach, but when he gets to the playoffs, he just flops. Something wrong. And he came to us, and we were a good team, and same thing, could not get us over that hump. And it happens. Marvin Lewis constantly getting the Bengals to the playoffs. Just couldn't. There's some reason, and eventually you got to move on. And I my thing is this. Like, I get it. Like, I am with you, and it would be, man, you move on and you get a wrong coach in here, right? And it's like, we're right back.
It's a risk, yeah.
Right. It's tough, but also you have to also say, all right, well, how long do we continue to go on? Now, RJ coming in with a comment about, he says, have to stop putting poor position coaching on a poor OC on Sean McDermott metric wise. He is top. He is in the top for coaching decisions. I think we should get rid of Dorsey in Washington. See, I disagree. So here's why I disagree on the Dorsey thing, RJ. And I know a lot of y'all are going to say, I love Dorsey. Listen, Dorsey, no matter what y'all say, he was a rookie OC last year. 1. 2, the personnel wasn't the great. Listen, our offensive line stunk. Our wide receivers were, except for Gabe Davis, were a problem, right? Like McKenzie was supposed to be that guy to fill in for Beasley, and so was Crowder, who got hurt early on, right? Boom, Crowder's gone for this season, right? McKenzie, okay, what can you do, McKenzie? Not much, right? He only, you know what McKenzie's about. He's more of a gadget receiver. And then you had Shakir as a rookie. Then you had Dawson Knox, who was more of a blocker because our offensive line stunk. So you can't just always point at one direction. That's one. Two, you know that Dorsey had actually better stats last year than the year before with Dable offensively. So we were the number 2 scoring team. We weren't a terrible offense considering we had a terrible offensive line. Receivers weren't the best. There was a lot that happened. It's not, you can't just keep pointing the finger at a certain person. Now, a head coach is the head coach. It is what it is. And that's, unfortunately, they're going to get their finger pointed at him. And he's been here longer than Dorsey. He's been here 7 years. So eventually, yes, you have to point the finger at the guy, just like a quarterback. A quarterback takes all of it, right? If things don't go right, it's quarterback. That's why they're paid the most. That's what the deal is. Head coach, same thing. So, listen, no, I don't think you should fire Dorsey. Like, look, here's the deal. If Dorsey comes out this season with all the additions that we got in the offseason, right? I'm hoping like the offensive line now on paper looks better. So let's say they do their job and he's still vanilla, still calling these very, basic calls. He's not really, getting the running game going. Like, fine. Then, hey, maybe he's just not an OC. It's not for him. Maybe it's just not the right team. I agree. Then fine. Move on from Dorsey. But I don't see that. I don't know why Bills Mafia is so tough on him when we are the number 2 scoring team, top 5 offense. If we were a 15th offense, fine. I get it. Like, damn, we fell off bad when Dable left. But you guys have to look at the big picture. Stop. Everybody's focusing in. I hate that. And I get it. It's what we do. But, man, it's like sometimes you got to get back, look at the whole picture, and see really what happened. Last year, guys, real quick, because I know Kyle Segoy has kids, by the way, and a newborn not too long ago. But last year listen, I'm not the one to make excuses, but I think last year it's almost safe to say, yeah, we can make an excuse. Because last year was a rough year. Rough year for Buffalo in general, right? The offseason was tragedy, right? I mean, from the owner, right, Kim Bagula, to the Tops thing, then injuries, then Vaughn, DeMar, Jordan, Micah Hyde. Like, so much happened, guys. The snowstorm, we had to play like 3 games in 10 days. Like, I don't know if you guys really understand. That was wild season, and we still were 13-3, and we still were the number 2 scoring team. So, guys, come on, man. Sometimes it is what it is. Just like Kyle said earlier, man. Sometimes just some bad luck or good luck, and I felt like, it sucks, but we met a team in the Bengals that came out and they stuck it to us, man. I just think, it happens, man. It happens, guys. So let's see what happens this season. It's year 2 with Dorsey. I also think y'all should just chill out on Gabe Davis a little bit here, man. And see what happens, man. But any last words, Kyle? My long rant.
Yeah, I'm good. I think we covered just about everything we needed to here. So,
Kyle, man, I appreciate your time, man. Once again, where can everybody find you at, man?
So you can find all my work at bangedupbills.com. You can also find some work I do during the draft over Cover One. You can find some stuff on YouTube during the season. You can find some work that I'm starting with Dynasty League football in the fall for fantasy stuff. You can find my weekly appearances during the season on Locked On Bills, and then other guest appearances throughout the season.
Awesome, man. Hey, Kyle, once again, man, I appreciate you popping on with us. It was always fun when you come on, man. Always interesting talk. And you're more than welcome to come back anytime, brother. So go be with your fam and kids, man. So Bills Mafia, I love you. We love you. And as always, go Bills. We're out of here. Peace out.